Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is our part two for our webcast for Hyperion, support for Hyperion and soon. What do we do next? We're going to be getting started here in just a couple minutes. Meanwhile, note that you are on mute by design. There's a lot of folks on the line this afternoon. If you do have any questions, please use the question icon on your toolbar, or if you're more comfortable using the chat, you can do that as well. But we'll be getting started in another 2 minutes. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be getting started here. My name is Bonnie McMahon, and we want to thank you for joining us today. This webcast is part two of our support for Hyperion and soon. What are we going to do next? And for those of you who attended last week, we did a brief solution overview and where you were. This week's agenda, I have also on the line with me Harshal Shah, who is our lead Oracle EPM director here at Evosis, and he's going to be giving the presentation. As a quick reminder, you are all on mute. There's a lot of folks on the line today, so to eliminate background noise, we keep everyone on mute. But if you do have a question, and we encourage questions, please ask your questions. Use the question icon on your toolbar. Today's agenda is as follows, as you see here on the screen. We're going to do a quick recap of last week's webcast. We're going to give you a detailed demo of the Oracle EPM Cloud. We're going to talk about migration approaches, which I think is going to be super interesting for all of you. And then we're going to talk about total cost of ownership for both your Hyperion and Oracle Cloud. And we'll share a success story. So again, please ask questions as you have them. We're happy to take them. I'll be watching them. And Harshal, over to you.
All right. Thanks, Bonnie. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. I just want to do a quick sound check. Bonnie, can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So yeah, what we'll do is, we'll start with a quick recap what we did last week. So we talked about three different options that you have while, since 11.1 version is coming to end of life. So we talked about doing nothing, repo creation around doing nothing, benefits around doing nothing. Similarly, if you decide to keep your Hyperion application on premise, so you have to upgrade it to 11.2. So what 11.2 has to bring on the table in terms of a new functionality, which are the functionalities getting discontinued. So we talked about those aspects, and we also touched briefly on the EPM cloud piece. So we talked about different set of benefits that you will get on the EPM cloud. Starting from the monthly updates that you will get. Again, you do not need to spend a lot of time on managing the updates or upgrades. The features which you have today on the application is going to grow constantly on a continuous basis. So again, if there is new feature, if there is new functionality added by Oracle, you are going to get without having to wait for doing some patching manually, like what we do on on-premise environments. uh, these are the quick implementations. So again, unlike Hyperions, this doesn't take a long time to implement or upgrade. uh, the migrations are pretty much straightforward. So let's say if you are using multiple cloud EPM applications, it is easy to navigate from one application to another. All these applications are interconnected. So let's say if you want to use the data of, let's say, planning and budgeting in consolidation or reconciliation, the data can move easily from one application to another. You can access it from anywhere. So I mean, since it's a web-based or cloud-based solution, you can easily access it. You do not need to depend on the VPNs or remote access or Citrix kind of a server to access to your Hyperion or EPM environment. And since these are hosted on Oracle data centers, those are extremely secure data environments. So you do not need to worry about the security of the data. Uh, Again, we talked about this in the last session, but just wanted to touch base on this, why organizations have chosen the cloud over the period of time. I mean, and one of the key reason is they want to reduce the total cost of ownership, which we are going to talk about. And then there are some or other reason. Again, every customer has different reason, but these are kind of a summary of why organizations are moving to the cloud. A quick comparison. So what we are going to do today is I'm going to show you quick functionality of financial consolidation and close, which is, I would say, HFM equivalent on the cloud. And then I'm also going to talk about planning and budgeting, which is equivalent of planning and budgeting module of Hyperion. So this is a quick comparison of HFM and FCCS in terms of functionalities. uh, Again, all this base functionality are going to remain same. So you will have all the smart views available, the hierarchical structures are there, you are going to get multi-gap reporting. What is additional is kind of a functionality on the reporting. You can use supplemental data to put the information around your discontinued operations, the related party disclosures. You can bring the transactional data if you want for some reporting. With cloud, you do not need to have another access or another license for the integration. All this license are available as part of the cloud. So again, if you are using FDME or ODI to integrate with your source system, you do not need to do that anymore. All this integration tool or ETL tool are available as part of the standard product. Similarly, the functionality on the planning and budgeting side, a quick comparison. So yeah, quick for your benefit. So I'm going to share this presentation like last time with you. So if you guys have any question, you guys can reach out to us. So there is, I see a question before I move on to the demo. What we'll do, we'll take a question and we'll talk about this portfolio. So we talked about multiple, access to multiple applications within the single license. So, with EPM Cloud, you get access to multiple modules within the single license. So in the planning and budgeting, you will have an access to financial models, workforce, capital projects, strategic modeling. So if I compare it with the on-premise world, you would have a separate license for workforce module or capital module. With cloud, you will get access to all the modules within the single license. Similarly, you will also have an access to account reconciliation module, consolidation. So let's say as an organization, you are using both HFM and HPB, you will have two different set of licenses. But but with the cloud, within a single license, you can access both planning and budgeting as well as consolidation and close. So again, from the licensing perspective, it is more flexible as compared to what we had on the on-premise world. A quick overview of how the integration would work with the cloud. So as I mentioned, there is no FDME layer. As such, you do not need to have a separate license for the for the integration. So there is a functionality called EPM integration agent, which allows you to directly integrate with your source system, or let's say if you want to directly connect with your data warehouse, you can directly connect with the data warehouse. Now, in case if you do not want to directly connect and you want to have a file-based option, you also have that file-based option through EPM Automate. So EPM Automate is a utility which actually can pick the file from a folder and load it into the EPM module. So whether it's planning and budgeting, consolidation, reconciliation, you can use this module. The best part is this comes along with the application modules. You do not need to purchase this separately for integration. Great. So with that, what I'll do, I'll quickly go into the demo. So I'll show you two set of solution today for 10 minutes each. I will show you the consolidation piece, and then I'll also talk about the planning and budgeting piece. Okay, I just quickly switch my screen. Okay. Bonnie, can you confirm if you can see my screen of the application?
Not yet. We still see the presentation.
Okay. Hold on. Now?
Now we have it. Yep.
Okay, great. So this is a quick, a demo version of financial consolidation and close. So if you see here, I have multiple clusters, and for each cluster, I have different processes defined. So I can manage my ownership within the consolidation. I can manage the periods, define the exchange rate, and whatever process you do in HFM, you can do it in here as well. Then you have your data uploads. Then you can define your integration. So again, running and integrations are pretty much straightforward. So once you are into the application, you just need to click on run, and you will be able to get the data directly from the source system. So these are the different integrations. I have multiple locations or multiple ERP which I can define, and I just can run the integrations from here. And what this will do is this will again give me the same screens which you used to have on the data management side, and it actually run the integration directly. So unlike on-premise world where you have to go to the data management to run the integration, you do not need to do that. You can manage it directly from here. And once the integrations are in here, you can actually validate the information in the data status too. So again, this is many customer use this on the HFM environment as well. But yeah, if you have multiple entities and data comes from for different department, you can see whether the data is impacted, not impacted, if the data is not changed. So for example, if the data has not been loaded for any year or any month, you will see this as a kind of a no data. So from here, you can actually manage whether all the integrations are successfully run and data has come into the consolidation module before you start and run your consolidation process. So that way, this becomes much easier to monitor the data transfer. A quick process on the consolidation, so you can manage your ownership structures right here. So now this is a pretty much easy to maintain the hierarchical structure. System automatically understands based on the control you select. So let's say if I give you an example, this particular subsidiary, so Europe ME holds 60% of the subsidiary and they have the control, and that's why the consolidation method is subsidiary. But sometimes if you say, okay, though I hold 60% of the control, but I do not have 60% of the ownership, but I do not have control, then system will not consider this as a subsidiary, and it will ask me, how you want to consolidate. And you can manage your JV joint ventures, you can manage your associate companies, you can manage all kind of consolidation in here. The best part is you can also define your own custom consolidation rules. So again, if you want to have some internal reporting where you want to consolidate certain certain companies for which you do not own 50% or more, you can actually define that range as well. So it is not something you need to depend on IT team to define how you want to run the consolidation. You can actually define from here. That subsidiary means, greater than 50% or less than or equal to 100%. So you can define all these rules in here. So that way, this becomes much easier. You can run the budget consolidation. There is nothing changed as such. Based on what you select in here, system calculates the minority interest, and again, based on this, system computes the minority interest calculations automatically. You can define multiple exchange rates. So similar to what you have on the on-premise, you can either manually input it, or you can pull this information from your ERP systems, or probably if you are managing this or taking this from some of the website, we can actually establish an integration with that website as well. Uh, all these right-click functionalities remains as it is. You do not. You can do the edits. You can make some adjustment, comments. So all this functionality remains as is. Additionally, what is new and interesting is you can open the same form in the smart view right from here. So you can do a spreadsheet export, which is kind of a report. But if you want to open this in the smart view, you can directly open it from here. So you do not need to connect from smart view differently and then go and open this form. You can actually work from here directly. So this is a quick process. As I said, nothing technical. It's pretty much straightforward. You can manage the additional information. So you can define all the schedules that you want. So PPE schedules, accumulated depreciation, statement of change in the equity. You can define as many schedules as you want at different level. You can review your intercompany transactions. So all this information can either come automatically from your GL, or you can enter it manually. Then at the last, you go in and run the consolidation process. So you have option to define multiple type of journals. So you can define reclassification, adjustments, auto reversing journals. So all these options are available. And again, it's pretty much straightforward. So you can define auto reversing journals, so which gets created in this period and gets auto reversed in the next period. Uh, and once all these pieces are done, you just go into the consolidation rules and run the consolidation. So you have these options. You just need to launch it, and once it's done, you just go in the report and review the reports. So you can define all this consolidation proof report. So you start with a standalone. This is the data without adjustments and elimination. These are your adjustments. These are your eliminations. And then finally you get data consolidated after adjustment and elimination. So if someone wants to want to have a kind of a step-by-step view of how the consolidation has worked, they can look at it here. And from the reports you can actually go down into the details. So again, nothing new. This is similar HFR that what we had, but yeah, we can use this. You can have intercompany reports, CTA calculations. So all these are predefined in here. You can look at the intercompany reports. So again, I'm assuming that you guys are aware about this. I'm not just going and explaining. So the purpose of this is to show you this is pretty much straightforward in terms of using it. There is nothing complicated, and whatever you have on premise, you're going to get in here. what you are getting additionally here is, a kind of a dashboards that you may wanted to have. So you can look at, multiple set of dashboards, and you can drill right from the source. So let me see if I have anything drillable. I don't. Uh, yeah, so let's say if I want to, look at this information, and then from year to I want to go to the quarters, half years and half years to quarters, I can do that. Unless I want to look at, the information in table, I can also do that. So all these are, pretty much straightforward and easy to configure. You do not need to depend on IT to create this. You can define all your ratios, and all these are real-time updated. So once you run the consolidation, all this number gets updated automatically. And many of our customers have liked this because this has eliminated a time they were spending on preparing, a report for the board after every closure or after every consolidation, because now this is available in the real time. So once that consolidation is run, they just use this application to run their presentations. You can also look at your operational KPIs, and then you can have a quick look at the infolets, so which are more of a summary set of information. So you can, on the one in the one card you could have multiple KPIs defined. You can look at actual, you can look at data set value. So this is more on the consolidation side of the area. What I'll do is I quickly go into the planning and budgeting. So currently I have this as a two different environment, but let's say if you have single environment, or if you are using both planning and budgeting and consolidation, you can actually navigate from here. So you will have an option to navigate it to planning and budgeting or account reconciliation or other modules right from the application. Now this is a quick application on the planning and budgeting side. So it's pretty much easy to change these backgrounds, and also in the consolidation you had a different background. Now let's say I want a similar background. I could just go say sky blue, or probably type, and I can easily change the background. So that way you can manage your branding. I think we talked about this financial planning and budgeting piece last time, but yeah, you will have all these options. So as I said, within the single license, you will get an access to strategic modeling, financial planning, capital and workforce planning, so on and so forth. So you will be able to leverage all these cubes. On top of it, if you want to create some separate cube for your S-based data, you have an option to create custom cubes as well within the application. You can do your revenue and expense planning. So I'm not, again, planning is completely different from organization to organization. So we can migrate your planning process straight away into this, and you can just change the application and start using your planning process in here. So this is on the expenses side of the area. And the best part is there are predefined balance sheets, cash flow, and the different set of analysis. So you do not need to create all this from the scratch. You'll get access to the capital planning, almost the similar functionalities what we had on the on-premise world. This is for the new assets. Let me see if I have any here. Yeah, so I may want. Yeah, if I don't have, I can add a new asset, convert new to the existing. So I can do all this stuff within the application. I can manage the existing assets. So if we want to bring the depreciation from the current system, we can do that. And we can do the analysis around the capital expenditure. So all these standard modules remains as is, rather you will have more functionality to work upon. Okay, so that was a quick overview of the application. Absolutely, this is not it. I mean, as a next step, let's say, we are going to talk about the next step. So if you want to understand this in bit detail, we are more than happy to, do the a kind of a deep dive into the application. So with that, I'll quickly move on to the presentation. So there are a few questions. What I'll do is I'll take the questions at the last so that we can, address all the questions at the same time.
One of them, Herschel, was the Smart View. They were interested in seeing how Smart View worked. Is that something we could show quickly?
Yeah, we can. So let me complete that, and
Okay.
towards the end, I can do that. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now, this is again an interesting. So we have seen, many websites or many organizations have started using digital assistant or chatbot for their self-service transactions. And in the Hyperion world, also we have many users who are just a consumer of some reports or some information, and we end up asking them to go into the application and go somewhere and access the report. So for the purpose of easiness and for the purpose of having this information handy, we have developed a kind of a chatbot or a digital assistant which actually connects your Google Assistant or Siri or Alexa or a kind of digital applications with the EPM application, and it can actually pull the information on the real-time basis. So let's say if I want to look at my financial number or trend of quarter to quarter, I just go into Siri, I can type certain information, and it can actually bring in the information from the consolidation module or planning and budgeting module. So this is a kind of a real time. So this is not something which is created on some different environment. So the chart has been deployed, but the data what you see in here directly comes from the EPM application. So this way, as a executive, if your finance controller or CF or VP of finance do not want to go into the application and just want to look at the high level numbers, they can look at from their mobile. So this is a kind of a way forward in terms of your digital transformation. So now let's quickly talk about the approaches. So we talked about upgrading it to 11.2, and we also talked about cloud migration. So first thing first, let's talk about upgrading it to 11.2. Now the precondition for upgrading to 11.2 is you have to have your environment on 11.124. So if you are on 11.123, first you have to upgrade it to 11.124, because only 11.124 onwards applications you can migrate on 11.2. So any application version prior to this is not supported for the migration. We also talked, the second step is to have a new hardware and OS. So effectively we talked about this is an out of place upgrade, so there are no patches to upgrade to 11.2. So you have to reinstall and migrate the application. So you have to have a new hardware on Windows 2016 or 2019 onwards, and then only you can migrate the application. Now, one of the change which you need to do, when you migrate or is if you have EPMA application. So there are two options. Either you have to start using the DRM for the metadata management because EPMA is not supported. Or let's say if you do not want to leverage DRM, then you have to create a classic application. So you have to convert your EPMA applications to the classic applications. As far as predefined modules, so if you are using, let's say, a public sector financial planning or workforce planning, you have to convert or you have to build these models from the scratch. Now, what we have done, so we have created this kind of utility. So internally we have worked out. So as a Evosys, we have a utility which will help you to migrate even your predefined models to a uh, to a model which are built from the scratch. So we have kind of a utility which will help you migrating your predefined models to the upgraded version. From the timeline perspective, again, this depends on how many environments you are managing, but considering, we have minimum of 3 environments, test, dev, and production, we are looking at, minimum of 12 weeks of timeline to upgrade the entire, one set of applications. So let's say if you have planning and budgeting as well as you have HFM on different environments, this 12 weeks could become 16 weeks or 18 weeks. But let's say if you have just one application, then 12 weeks time is what we generally see for the upgrade. Now, if we talk about the cloud, migrating to the cloud is pretty much straightforward. Again, what we have to do is uh, once you have the EPM licenses from Oracle, will migrate your current application on the cloud. So here also there is a process where if you have EPMA application, we have a utility to convert EPMA to Classic. So we have to convert the EPMA applications to Classic and then migrate it to the cloud application. But that's something which is pretty much straightforward and we can easily do that. We can The next step would be make the necessary changes. So let's say if you want to leverage some new functionality, new reporting tool, you want to establish some integration with the data warehouse, we can help you in that. So rather than just migrating the application on the cloud, we will encourage you to migrate as well as enhance the use of application. Once that piece is done, again followed with the training and testing. So the first two steps do not take a lot of time. The most time we spend is to make sure that your end users and the key users are trained, your system administrator are trained, and we do the thorough testing. And once that is done, we'll migrate, we'll start using the application. Now again, the timeline differs. Again, how many application you have on premise, whether it's classic or EPMA application, whether you have standard modules like workforce capital or everything is built from the scratch. So depending on different aspect, the timeline could differ. But based on our experience so far, it could start somewhere around from 6 to 8 weeks, and it could range up to 16 weeks. So depending upon how complex your on-premise architecture is, the timeline differs. But yeah, this is a kind of we can see. So if you are a simple install base, I mean, you can get up and ready in like 8 weeks. Now let's talk about a total cost of ownership. So I mean, we have seen a summary of information where most of the customer have decided to move to the cloud because they could reduce their total cost of ownership. Now with the on-premise world, you have multiple cost just incurring, just to keep the light on. So let's say you have the investment on the DBA, you will have an investment on the hardware that will be in, you will be spending or paying money to Oracle for the support piece. So there are a lot of cost components which are involved on maintaining the on-premise world. Similarly, if you decide to do an upgrade, there are multiple. So there is an upgrade cost of you have to spend. You have to upgrade your OS. You have to procure new hardware. So what we have done is we have created a kind of a comparative analysis of 5 years, which gives the organization like yours a quick view of how, let's say if you decide to move from cloud or from on-premise to cloud, how much cost you are going to save over the period of 5 years. So this is a kind of report which we can prepare for you. So well, yeah, we would need some information from you which we can work out, and based on that we can give you this kind of a report, and which will show you a quick table. So if you see the table on the right hand side, this is the most important piece, which will show how much potential. So this is an absolute saving. So this table compares your on-premise cost year on year and compare it with the cloud cost, and ultimately it can show you the savings over the period of 5 years. And then there is a small table below that which talks about efficiency that the cloud application brings in. So again, that's a different again, it's more of a savings, or I would say return, if you decide to improve the process with the help of cloud But if you do not even do that, if you just migrate Hyperion to cloud, this is a kind of absolute saving you can do. So we have kind of a customer who could reduce their total cost of ownership by 40%. So they were spending, let's say, 200 or 300,000 every year on just Hyperion. With by moving to the cloud, their yearly spending was reduced to 150 or 160,000. So that way we can create this kind of a report for you. So in case if you need some help deciding or preparing kind of a business case of moving to the cloud, we can help you do that. These are a couple of success stories. So we have quite a few. So I think we mentioned last time we have more than 30 customers where we have helped them moving to the cloud. These are a couple of customers in North America who have decided to migrate their entire on-premise portfolio on the cloud. So Archrock is one where they have migrated their Essbase as well as Hyperion applications on the cloud, and Halcon is one where they have moved their consolidation HFM environment uh, on the cloud. And with the cloud, what they are able to do is they are able to get an integrated environment. They are able to get a real-time kind of a reporting, and the overall process of completing the budgeting or consolidation cycle has improved drastically. So what we'll have as a next steps before I take questions and answer. I mean, we can work with you to define the upgrade plan or migration. So, I mean, if you are not going with the option one, which is decide to which is decide doing nothing. I mean, we can work with you. We can analyze your infrastructure, we can analyze your current application architecture, and we can work with you to define your upgrade or migration plan. Uh, as I mentioned, we can create a kind of a total cost of ownership report for you. So, we would need certain information, but yeah, based on that, we can give you, if you decide to do, let's say, upgrade, or if you decide to do go through cloud, how much you can end up saving as over the period of 5 years. And let's say if you want to, go into the deep of the functionalities, if you want to see the demo, we can definitely do a kind of a detailed application demo wherein we can show you the integrations, drill down, different reporting, planning and budgeting, and what other things, whatever you like. So we can work those things with you as well. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll quickly move to the question and answer. If you guys have any questions, you can write it down in the question and answer box. Just need to find that questions box. Yeah, I got it. All right, so there are a couple of questions I see. So there is one question: how easy is it to migrate Hyperion pre-built modules like Capital and Workforce? Can they lift and shift to the cloud until customer is ready to adopt the new out of the box functionality? So yeah, so we have done that. So effectively there will be certain migration activities or certain transformation activity which we need to do, but this is pretty much possible. So let's say if we want to migrate the Capital and Workforce module of on-premise to the cloud, we can do that. So any guidance on implementation cost for cloud versus on-premise? I mean, Howard, that's a good question, and that's something, what we can do is we can reach out to you, because it would depend on the complexity of your on-premise architecture or on-premise application. So I mean, I do not want to give you a number which could be completely vague for you. So yeah, we can reach out, we can send you a kind of a one-to-one email, and we can let you guys know. Can you demo pulling data from application via SmartView? Yeah, I can do that. I mean, it's a similar functionality. Let me quickly set it up. Let me quickly show you. But yeah, meanwhile, if you guys have any question, just feel free to write it in here. So let me quickly open the SmartView for you. Just a second.
Thank you, Harshal. And as Harshal mentioned, if you do have any additional questions, we have some coming in now, but there's a question icon on your toolbar you can use to type in your questions. curious. I'm curious for those of you on the line, how many of you have already looked at the Oracle EPM Cloud product? You can raise your hand just to keep this going here. I'm just curious. Let's see. Oh, we have a few who have already looked at seen a demo and looked at it. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, let me quickly share my screen. So now I have connected with the Smart View. So if you guys have this Smart View and this is my cube, I can go into the, let's say, application, libraries, financials. I want to pull some financial as revenue and revenue. This is how I can pull the information. So again, if I have the data, so let's say if I want to enter, it's the same functionality. So it's not something which is completely different. You can use the same functionality of the Smart View. Yep, I hope that answers your question.
I think it's one of the most popular features, isn't it, Harshal?
It is. And the best part is it's not going away. So absolutely, you guys can be rest assured that this is staying with the cloud.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so I think that's what I had.
There's one more question that just came in, Harshal. It said, can we have multiple grids within the same Smart View pool?
Can we have multiple grids within the same Smart View pool? So yeah, you can. So let's say you have pulled this information, and so within this you cannot, but you can create another sheet and you can pull another grid. So that way you can have that. So currently I do not have any valid rows, but yeah. See if I can. Okay.
Excellent. So we will be reaching out, offering you a total cost of ownership. If you are interested, please feel free to reach out quicker. We're happy to put that information together with you and for you, so you have a good, honest evaluation of your choices. And with that, I think that's what we've had for today. We look forward to talking with you in the future. Harshal, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciated it.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thank you, Bonnie. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you all for attending. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.